are stories that connect us to ourselves and each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid, wild colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. And now, exclusively on KGRA Radio, I give you your host for Soul Wanderings Radio. Here's AJ.
Hello, friends. Welcome to my most favorite night. It's Soul Wanderings night. Soul Wanderings is a show about journey stories, and we are hanging out here on the one and the only KGRAradio.com, which is heard throughout our universe every Wednesday from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. And each week we get to wander with a new guest about their authentic experiences through this human journey. And it's so awesome to have you here with us for yet another live show tonight. And if you guys are interested, we are live once again on the official KGRA Radio YouTube page as well as their Facebook page. So hop over there if you're interested. We'd love to have you hang out with us. My name is AJ Rasmussen, and I am an owner and a manager of a heart-centered healing space called Vibes, Mind, Body, Spirit. And it's there where I get to assist others in their personal journeys in healing the mind, body, spirit, and the heart. And I'm also your host of Soul Wanderings. If you're new around here and you're listening live with us tonight, make sure you guys are hanging out in the chat room. That's a great place for you to be able to ask questions to our guest tonight. And you can do that by going to kgraradio.com/chat. You'll find myself there and all the other wanderers. And we're just going to get started. Let's do this. So tonight, our guest is Dr. Joanne Lefebvre Connolly, and she is a veterinarian, a medical intuitive, an animal communicator, and author of the book Animal Teachings from Haley's Angels Methods. Dr. Joanne offers a trusted in-home end-of-life euthanasia services since 2008. And she has empowered families to access the quality of life of their pets and guiding them to make fair and personalized medical decisions for their pets throughout their lives. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, AJ. It's such a pleasure being here with you and your listeners.
Thank you. I'm glad that you reached out, and we get to hear all about your journey story as well as all of the amazing things that you are up to.
Thank you.
So to start out with, as always, I like to ask our guests to tell us a little bit about themselves in their words. Why don't you go ahead and do that?
I was born in Canada in a very small, cold French town that we now call the North Pole. It's very north in Canada, so lots of snow. And it was fun. You know, I had a lot of fun, lots of trees. I love nature, obviously, so it found me at a very young age with animals, you know, a lot of wildlife and a lot of different, just Mother Nature I've always been so fascinated by her creations. And so at a very young age, my favorite thing has always been to just sit in the yard and watch the earthworms and let them crawl in my hands and play with the ants and just really be one, you know, with the web of life and be so fascinated by this wonderful planet. So I wandered pretty much all over Canada for the first 21 years of my life. Growing up as a teenager, I was blessed with working in a wildlife refuge. So obviously my passion for animals just kept growing and growing. And I was able to get into vet school. I spoke only French, so I wanted to travel, and I've always been really curious about the rest of the world. That was way before internet. So my dad is a world wanderer. He's very curious himself, and he shared with me, you know, encouraged me to get out of our little French town to go see what the rest of the world was like. So he helped me go to both ends of Canada so I could learn English, because I was in Quebec, where people speak French mainly. So I started learning English, and after veterinary school, so I was 21 years old, I was able to get chosen to do through a matching program to do a year of specialization, and that was in the States, so that was in Michigan. So I crossed the border, and that's when I got my first cell phone and my first car, and that's when I had an email address. That, internet was just born. So I came to the States, and I continued to wander all over the States for now another 18, 19 years. And I've met, really nice people. I've been really blessed to just come across the nicest people who have helped me on my journey, and my curiosity has grown. And I met my husband in the Northeast. We moved to Arizona, so we were there for 11 years. We visited California a lot. And now we're in Florida, so we're we've adopted the nomadic lifestyle, which really suits us. For many reasons, and just different life chapters. We just both go with the flow, and that's how we go about life. It's been a fun journey.
It's really neat how you've had the opportunity to do so much wandering already through your life. You've gone so many places and had so many experiences already.
It's not easy. You have to really push out of your comfort zone and be willing to be daring and jump off the cliff sometimes and hope that your imaginary wings will appear. We've had a lot of opportunities to grow. It seems like the universe is keeping us on our toes. But we're embracing the challenges, and my husband and I are quite the team. We've been together 16 years. And so it's been fun, mainly scary too, but mostly fun. And together we have each other, so it's been amazing.
It sounds like it, absolutely. I know you said you played with the caterpillars and really had some experiences that way. What got you started into your journey with animals? What was really the pivotal moment for you? I've always followed my heart, my passions. My parents have always been really free-spirited and open-minded, and just saying, whatever you want to do, you can do it. And so I always wanted to keep playing, have fun, making a living, doing what you love. And animals would always come back to find me. I have a better time. I have more animal friends than people friends. So really, to me, that was a no-brainer. I could not have done anything else. When I look, of course, I got confused throughout college and just asking myself, well, what else could I be doing with my life? And, we had a book of different professions. And so I looked through everything. And you know what? My heart is really with the animals because they've always answered my most existential questions. And I'm one with many questions ever since I was young. I would, ask my mom the most difficult questions. And of course, she did not always have answers about how the world works. And so animals have always given me the best answers. So I just love them. It's my home. It's my home with them. When I work at the wildlife refuge as a student, as a teenager for 2 summers, it was just the most beautiful thing because I felt like they got me and I could just be me around them. Simply, no need to, try to impress anybody, and animals have always been there to support me and bringing the best out of myself. Isn't it amazing how they can do that? They can't speak our language by any means. They're not having a verbal communication with us. However, they say more than we could even imagine if we just spend some time with them and listen.
Completely. They've guided my footsteps, and in many crazy ways, that you don't expect. But, for example, messages that I've received from the wildlife also, I had met with 3 people who wanted to partner up for business, purpose. And I wasn't sure, my heart, my gut feeling was like, I don't know these people, and I'm not quite sure about the vibe that I'm getting. So I got home that night and that was in Arizona. And who was waiting at my door? There was one scorpion, one black widow, and one Colorado river toad, that's a venomous toad. So all three were there, and of course, there's no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences now that I can understand what the messages are. But when I saw these three creatures who could hurt me, to me that was clear that the message was, oh no, you're fine by yourself. Don't spread your energy with those people. You'll meet some good people, but that's not quite for you. It's not your place. So I'm really in tune with, well, where's my place right now? And I see life as a book. It's really full of life chapters. And we tend to get scared when a life chapter ends. But I've learned that it's going to end no matter what. You have to stop resisting it and just let it end. And if that means you're losing your job, something is forcing you to move to a different part of the world, understanding that it's ending. Often an animal will die at the end of a life chapter because animals find us. They have a life purpose. They're there to help us get through difficult situations in life, but they have to leave also. And so I see a timing in death, with animals and pets who live closely with us. So listening to those signs to help make the right decisions and just make it easier. So again, we're not resisting. It will be less difficult. And if we just let things happen, and go with the flow and understand that we're growing. And it's good when you reach the end of a chapter, that means you've grown out of it. And there is something better for you. You've reached the top of the mountain. And if you just stay there, you're going to stagnate. Like there's no more growth. So you do have to jump off and climb a taller mountain to continue being fulfilled, really follow your calling and really fulfill your purpose and everything that wants to come out of you. And it's amazing. I'm amazed by everything that still wants to come out. And when I think, okay, we're set now, this is going to be our chapter for many years. You never know. Each day is a surprise. So we're enjoying the flow of things and understanding why things happen. So it makes it much easier.
It is amazing, though, if you stop and pay attention to what's going on around you. There are signs everywhere.
Completely. Before we moved to Florida, we were in Arizona and we loved California, and we tried really hard to move to California, and we visited many times, and it was just amazing. All the bad things that happened to us, like all the signs telling us gently, California is not your place. You're not going to thrive here. We went to visit houses, and in one house I sprained my ankle. Like I tripped, in the house. It was so random, but I paid attention to that. Another house, I got stung by a bee, like just this bee swarm just came around, and like, what the hell? Like, okay, we're listening to this, this is not our place to thrive. One of our dogs got into foxtail, so we had to take him to the vet in California. The other one, so there was a lot of little things that for us, it was big. We knew that, okay, this is, we've tried hard, but the energy is not flowing. And then Florida started calling us, and we had a good friend who came from Florida that we met in the desert, and we started looking at different areas, and right away everything fell into place. We found the perfect house on this perfect amount of land, and one of my childhood dreams was to have a horse. And I was it was the time in my life where, I had worked way too hard. I needed to get my balance back. And I knew I had gotten into a few near car accidents. Like I was on the verge. I was pushing that chapter that needed to end, but I was resisting it because I was afraid. And it was very difficult. It's hard to let go of, things that you've invested yourself in. So anyway, Florida welcomed us with open arms. And as soon as we moved in, my new neighbor, I start talking with her, and she says out of nowhere, she says, "Are you ready for your horse? Because I know who he is and he needs a good home." And so we had a barn on the property. There was a beautiful pond. It was perfect for a horse. And this horse needed a second chance at life. He was a retired show horse, and he needed to just be a horse. And so him and I just bonded, love at first sight. We were meant to live that chapter. Finally, both our lives had, met, and we were ready to embrace this chapter. and I was not working. We had just moved, and I was taking, as much time off as I needed to really regroup and reassess where I was at in life. And so he was there for me to play with me. It was beautiful.
Sounds beautiful. Perfect timing. So is that where you reside now, is in Florida?
Yeah, right now we needed some water and grass, and so we're really happy here. It's definitely good for us. We love the desert, but again, this next, this life chapter, is happening in Florida. So we're happy to be here. It sounds
like you're exactly where you're meant to be.
Yep.
I love that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to continue our wandering with Dr. Joanne Lefebvre Connolly. We'll be right back, you guys.
Matt Ray here with America's First News, and I have a question for you. What do we all have in common, regardless of our age or profession? The busy, the elderly, students, doesn't matter. What do we all have in common? Stress, right? Stress causes anxiety in our lives, and we are susceptible to memory issues from time to time too. So why not guard against both? Guard against the effects of chronic stress and improve your memory with one supplement, Calm and Clever. Ingredients help enhance memory and retain new information, while other ingredients reduce stress by maintaining healthy levels of the stress hormone cortisol. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. Sharpen your mind and feel calm and centered. Try Calm and Clever. Go to calmandclever.com. Enter the promo code radio for $5 off. Again, calmandclever.com. Enter the promo code radio for $5 off.
AncientLifeOil.com. For your CBD needs, just remember, AncientLifeOil.com. What does it do for the body, you ask? I can't say to the people in the suits that run the industry. Big Pharma's all over CBD because of its well, you know what I mean. Research the benefits of CBD on Google and come back to AncientLifeOil.com and purchase your CBD today. Non-GMO and all organic. You don't want to be using a petroleum product. You want to be using the cleanest CBD product on the market. AncientLifeOil.com. We even have CBD for your pet. Help your pet's discomfort. Help your discomfort. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Newly reduced prices to pass off the savings to the most important person, you. AncientLifeOil.com. And one more thing, we have topicals too. So if you have joint pain and some different issues that are going on in your body, you might want to use a topical. Think about it. AncientLifeOil.com.
Get ready, Knoxville, Tennessee. The Alien Expo is coming August 17th and 18th at the Knoxville Convention Center. Prominent top-level UFO researchers and experiencers from around the world present Real X-Files. Encounters with UFOs. True alien abduction accounts. Contact with extraterrestrial beings. See America's most high-profile contactee, Travis Walton. Hear about bases on the moon from former NASA aerospace engineer Ken Johnson, MUFON abduction expert and niece to Betty and Barney Hill, Kathleen Martin, UFO truth embargo and disclosure advocate Stephen Bassett. Come and enjoy a full weekend of presentations, music, vendors, meet and greets, book signings and autographs, cosplay, alien costume contests, and more. Day passes, weekend passes, and VIP passes available now. The first annual Alien Expo, powered by Mysterious Radio. Make contact at alienexpo.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
welcome back to Soul Wandering, hosted on KGRAradio.com. We are here wandering with our guest this evening. We just barely got started. So if you're just joining us, have a seat, get comfy. We are visiting with Dr. Joanne Lefebvre Connolly, and she is all about animals. She's an animal communicator and veterinarian, and an intuitive healer, medium, all of those things. So she's able to talk to the animals and communicate with us what they are feeling and what they want to share. Would that be accurate, Joanne?
Yes, and I would like to add that we all have those skills. We can do the same. Everybody can tap into their deepest power to communicate with the web of life. It's all about staying in our heart and watching and listening, being in tune with everything that the universe has to offer to us. And children are very in tune, so it's going back to who we were as children. So we can definitely stay on our path. And society has unfortunately disconnected us to the source. We're being taught to be in our brain, and of course we have an amazing brain, so we do have to use it, but we can't forget about the heart, because the heart helps us make amazing decisions that the brain so often can't. So it's a combination. It's a team effort between everything that we are and everything that the web of life is on this beautiful planet.
I absolutely agree. Tell me though, when you were younger and developing this love for animals, how did you come into the knowing that this gift was already inside of you? And then how did you fine tune that gift with the communication with the animals?
So when we moved to Arizona, we had an old friend. Her name was Haley. She was a four-legged Rottweiler mix, and the time came that she was really sick and she was suffering. So I had to help her pass. Being a veterinarian, I was working at the hospital, so I could bring the medications home to help her. And after we helped her comfortably pass at home, my life changed forever. And I did not do any of this. It was truly a divine guidance, divine intervention from Haley. And it took me a while to understand, really, because I didn't have any experience with the spirit world, or I didn't really have any beliefs. I wasn't sure where we go when we die. But after Haley passed, I really felt her presence, because people were calling me, like a friend of a friend, hey, can you come help my dog pass comfortably at home also? And so Haley was pushing me. I finally had to say to her, okay, I'm really scared here, because it seems like you're asking me to start an in-home euthanasia service, and I don't know where to begin. And I have a lot of fears about being on my own and going to people's homes, and I want to make sure I do a good job. But that's when I started realizing that there's no coincidence, and everywhere I would turn, there was another sign that would bring me back to that path and pushing me to do this. So I finally talked to Haley, talked to her spirit, and just said, hey, if you're there, please help me, and I'm going to go for it. That was my first jumping off the cliff, my first moment of, okay, new chapter beginning. It is really scary, but I have no choice. Let's hope for the best. So that was 12 years ago. And since then, I've helped over 10,000 families help their pets pass peacefully at home. And the teachings from these families and these animals, that's when, I really connected with my heart. I was so devastated that Haley died. I was coping with this the best I could, but I've learned more ways to cope as I was helping others and talking to families. And the beautiful thing about being at home, you share things that you can't share in an office. You just don't have time. And but when you're at home, it's become a celebration of life, and we have time to really play music. I went to, some animals euthanasia ceremony where people would invite their doggy friends, have an ice cream party, And it was fun. It could be beautiful. It didn't have to be so sad. And then we're reflecting on what our animals have brought into our lives, what they taught us. And I would always ask families, how did you choose your pet? And most of them, like 99% of people, tells me, oh, I didn't choose my pet. He chose me. And this is how he found me. And I was looking for another kind of dog or a younger cat, but this animal really stole my heart, or we locked eyes and that was it, love at first sight. So I've realized, how deep the bond is with our animals, and that we're here to share an important chapter in life. And often we share the same life purpose. Our animals are also here for a reason. Some of them are little therapy animals, and they want to go spread the joy in nursing homes and bring a smile to sick patients when they're dying, or, there's so many ways that we can walk this earth with our animal, and then honoring their wishes when it's the end of that chapter. So everything started snowballing really fast. So many new learnings from School of Life and being at home with the animals, and the rest of the animals in the house too, and how they react to their good friends dying, because they share a lot of insights also as to when is the right time, the way they behave and interact with that animal who's sick. I went to the same home twice to help with 2 doggy friends, and they have another animal named Tater Tot. Tater Tot's a little bunny, and he's just the most amazing. And both times he stayed right next to the dying dog that I was there to help. He never left his side, and he was not even scared of me. And you could tell, like, it was so important for him to be there. And it taught me how animals grieve, and they can grieve tremendously, so giving them the opportunity to be present is really healing for them. They get the closure, the understanding that they need. Some of them will even visit the grave, when we can do a home burial. Animals, cows, horses, large animals will visit the grave of their past friend for weeks. So there is no one way to grieve. Animals, just like people, will go about it their own way. So giving them that opportunity is just huge. When their owners die, I want the medical system to give an opportunity to the animals to visit with their past owner, because often people die at the hospital and there's just no closure for these animals. They don't know what happened. They're waiting for their owner to come home. So the teachings are endless, and that's why I had to write this first book, because I needed to share with the world what these animals were telling me. And there'll be a book number 2, because there is so much more to share and so many more amazing experiences that I've been through since.
Well, of helping that many people, I could imagine you have several stories that you could share, which I think is incredible. Now that you brought the spirituality aspect into your experience that you shared with us, I'm curious, do you believe that we have soul contracts with our pets, and that's why they come into our existence?
Yes, I think our life missions are very closely related. I don't believe in coincidences. So the law of attraction, I see how strong it is in matching us with our animals and with other people. I've done quite a bit of past life regression and just trying to unlock some memories of past lives, and being just in tune with who we are, how unique we all are in this life. And what I find fascinating is that there is a lot of signs about one person that tells us who this person has been in a previous life. And so that will be in the next book. But I have over probably about 50 people that I've been playing with and matching, this is the animal that you've been before, and it explains your lifestyle today. So for example, now that I'm in Florida, I've got this good friend who's from Ohio, but I strongly believe that she was a crab in a past life. And so we've talked about it, and she's in Florida. She needed to end her life. She's older now and she's retired here, and she needed to be near the water. And so we started talking, and she loves walking up and down the beaches. That's her home, is just walking along the beaches, along the ocean. And she wears her hair like a crab with, little puffy kind of crab legs. And it's just struck me. It was so powerful, the vibe that she has. And she's a very social person. So I could see her with a bunch of crab friends. They like to hang out together. So we're talking about this. And finally, she lifts her sleeve to show me her crab tattoo on her shoulder. And I'm like, wow, you've known this for a long time. You've had this attraction to crabs, And so she laughed, and she's like, yes, that's true. So it's fascinating because it explains a lot of our behaviors. I have a fascination with, sea turtles. I really believe I've been a sea turtle before. And it explains a lot about me. I'm a very slow-paced kind of person, but I keep on going, just keep one little baby step after the next, and let's keep on going. I'm not one to fight, when people get upset or whatever. When I saw a sea turtle fight on a video online, I could see myself, because that's my reaction. So what sea turtles do, they just turn their back, they show their shell, and they just wait for the annoyance to go away. And that's kind of what I do. It really felt, it made me feel at home. And of course, I live with other people, like my husband. He's a lion, and everything about him is a lion. And you need both. You need all kinds of animals in this world. You need all kinds of personality. He's the fighter. He's the one that's gonna really, bring justice to this world. And he's a singer, songwriter. He writes about, again, the world, how it should be, and justice and fairness for all. But he's growing his hair for the first time in his life. As we mature and become more wise, we turn into the best version of ourselves. So anyway, for the first time in his life, he's growing his hair. Well, little did we know, he's got this beautiful curly mane-looking head, and he's turning into the lion that he was always, and he's portraying that and tuning in, just channeling that energy for the best, to use it to be the best and strongest version of himself. So it's truly fascinating. I love to look at different people and see how they behave, and it makes sense, to go back and say, this is animal that we've been, but I believe also that animals can come back. So animals can come back into humans, but humans can come back into animals too. We basically choose the body that we need to reincarnate to fulfill our incarnation. So whatever purpose we have in coming back, we might choose to come back as an animal as opposed to a human. There is no rule on that.
That was actually one of my questions. I wanted to know about the reincarnation. But I like that you brought up the fact that our qualities resemble different qualities of animals. Do you feel like it's related to, or possibly could be, our spirit animal that we're drawn to the most, and we pick up those qualities from that spirit animal?
So to me, the concept of totem animal and spirit animal, I feel that it's closely connected to the animal that we've been. Like, so yes, every one of us has a fascination or an attraction to some animals, and we might have more than one totem animal, because I receive messages, from, it's going to be turtle, but then whales have come to me, and any, tortoise came to me, and insects come to me, a snake, different messages. Animals have different energies, so I feel like they can warn us or support us depending where we are in life. I was in Arizona wandering around my backyard once, and I was in a bad place mentally. I was just like stirring some bad things, feeling bad about myself, and I almost stepped on a snake. I ran into a rattlesnake, and I'm really grateful for that snake. He snapped me right out of it, but I almost got bit in the process. So I feel like, messages come across, and so he was the one that had the strongest message for me, so I would recognize it at the time, So I see, how they say people look like their pets, and I always love those videos, when you look at pictures online, they'll share how people choose their dogs and they look just like their dogs. And so
Yeah.
I love that because, yes, I really feel like we come back and our heart goes out to we have a specific cause that we're fighting for. And a friend of mine loves bulldogs, and that's the breed she's fighting for. And I see the physical resemblances. And I helped a couple of people. We helped one of their animals go to heaven, and they love reptiles. They love bearded dragons. And when I went to their home, those are the animals that they take care of, that they rescue, and they relate to them so much. And I really saw the resemblance, also the physical resemblance and the behavioral resemblance. It was so fascinating to me because they know, how can you know better about an animal than the person who's been one, So if you've walked this earth as a bearded dragon, well, you know all about them. And so when you come back as a human, and I could tell these people were on a mission to educate the rest of the world. And we all need education because reptiles are not easy to own. And you have to know them. You have to bond with them. They're not for everybody. So I love how some people always have the same breed of dog. And some people, it's horses. And it makes sense. So to me, that's the same as the totem animal. It's really the energy bond that we share, but also more than that, I think genetically, it's our soul that remembers being in that body.
It's really neat how there are no coincidences and everything just lines up, especially when it comes to the messages that we receive from these animals. And they're all around us, and they're always communicating with us. And going back to what you said earlier, it really is just about paying attention and listening to what they have to share with us.
Completely. And I would love to talk to you about how I healed my horse allergies, because maybe it's going to help you heal yours. And it touches a lot of, points that are important to hopefully inspire other people to help, heal their own selves. So Majestic, the horse who found us, was waiting for us in Florida when we moved here. Actually, the story begins many years ago. So when I was in vet school, that's when I realized I had terrible horse allergies. And I would go to the barn to help, to learn. I was in school and I needed to take care of the horses. And my nose would get stuffed up and my eyes would just cry. And I looked like I was sad. I looked like I was having a major crisis happening there. So my mom is very intuitive, and we were just, having lunch one day and trying to think about why am I allergic to horses, and think about it with our brains, but mainly with our hearts. That's where the answers lie. So I was just, trying to tune in and just see what could come across, what kind of messages I would get. And I saw a movie play in my head of me as a Native American watching the white men capture our wild horses. And I burst into tears, and oh my God, I was reliving it. And still today, when I tell the story, I get chills all over my body, and it traumatized me. I had a major emotional shock. Those were my friends, and they were being captured. They were no longer wild. And but it unlocked some memories, and it helped me heal, because since that day, I haven't had horse allergies. And I knew, like, it was a matter of life or death. Like, I knew I needed a horse. I needed a horse in my life. And the timing came, and everything just fell into place for Majestic and I to find each other. And I never reacted to him. But luckily, we were blessed with 2 years of amazing healing for both of us. He was an old guy, so I had to help him go to heaven. The time came that he had a lot of arthritis and he was in a lot of pain. But for 2 years, he was able to live as a free horse. And he used to be a show horse before he was abandoned, neglected at the end. So with me, he got to be the horse that he was meant to be and just free, like in the old days. And me, I was just hanging out in the field with him like I used to as a Native American. And we just got to be, and it was beautiful. So one night I received a dream. I dreamt about him, and he had turned into an angel. He had grown white wings, and he was all shiny and magnificent. And I was holding onto his neck, and we were flying all over heaven. And we were both young and healthy and pure. We were home, we were healthy and all was well. And when I woke up and I went to the barn to see him, and he was ready. He was in terrible pain, and he was done. That's his way. He was telling me, home is waiting for me. Please help me. So thanks to that dream, of course, it brought me the strength that I needed, because I didn't want to let him go. I wanted to be selfish, I wanted to keep him, but I knew he was not the same. The chapter had concluded, and I needed to be strong and honor his wishes, and I helped him go. I helped him go home, and I know our paths will cross again, but we've healed each other, and that was such an amazing blessing.
It sounds like a memorable and incredible experience that you had. We have a question from the chat room, actually, that goes right in line with what you shared with us. When we have to euthanize our pet, does the pet understand you are doing it with love because we do not want them to suffer any longer?
Yes, there is different levels of understanding based on different personalities. I encourage families to communicate with their pets with words. Obviously animals don't understand all the words, but on an energy level, they get what you're telling them. And so my first recommendation is always to give your pet permission to let go, because that can facilitate natural death, and a quick and good natural death, without suffering. So I've seen that a lot, when people call me to go to their homes, and we talk about the timing of the euthanasia, and if they're not sure about it, we take it one day at a time. But I tell them, okay, you need to have a heart-to-heart with your pet. This is the time when you have to tell your pet, okay, I love you, I thank you for all these wonderful years, but I don't want you to suffer. So please make it clear, I'm giving you permission to let go if you are able to let go on your own. If you're not, please give me a sign one way or another that you're ready for me to help you. And there is a communication happening there. It becomes clear. We find peace, just like I found peace with every of my animals that I've had to euthanize. And if you're not sure, you wait a day, you wait an hour. You take that time and you watch the behavior of the animal. A lot of animals at the end of their lives will retreat from the pack. And that's a wild behavior. Animals in the wild, they will retreat from the pack, and they go hide in the closet maybe, or under the bed, or just a weird spot that, they're telling you, okay, I'm getting close. The rest of the animals too might act differently towards them by being really clingy to them, or sometimes they will attack them. They will kind of, and again, that's another wild behavior of, you're sick, you're dying, we can't stay with you because you're going to attract predators, and sometimes, there is some, fights happening. So looking at the dynamic in our house, but obviously when it comes to euthanasia, I do encourage families to be with their pets and to talk to them. And the way I do it, I always give them a sedative first. If they've been in the hospital, they've been hospitalized, they have an IV catheter already placed, or it can be placed without too much stress. There is a few different options, obviously, to do this, but to me, most importantly, is to have zero stress, So if we're able to give some sedatives by mouth to the animal before we even give them like an injectable sedative or the IV injection, anything we can do to make this more peaceful, play music, be comfortable in an environment that our pet loves, with the people that he loves. So, and some animals are extremely anxious. So we need to do the best we can to relax them. And yes, not rush, make them feel like this is okay and they're going home, and the communication continues afterwards. And really reaching out to our animals in spirit forms, in just checking in on them and saying, hey, if you can send me a sign, do so. It's very comforting. And so many people share with me how, just my grandpa, for example, after he died, my mom mainly started seeing owls everywhere, whether it was a drawn owl, on a piece of paper, or she went to the store, there was a frame with an owl in it. Then she found socks with owls on them. And she really felt like it was my grandpa's totem animal. And that's how he would kind of show up and say hi. And somebody else told me about how their mom loved cardinal birds. And every time she has to make tough decisions, there's a cardinal bird that just shows up from nowhere. And it's like her mom from heaven just saying, hey, I'm here. We'll be okay. Or you can smell the perfume of your deceased loved one that strikes you, or the smell of pipe, or whatever, anything that reminds you of your loved one. So people will share with me how animals, they will feel them too. They will feel them brushing against their legs, or they will see them from the corner of their eyes, or just have, again, a feeling that the animal is visiting. And the rest of the animals will also tell us when someone is visiting. I've seen cats just playing with the wind, they're playing with their imaginary friend, or dogs will bark at no one visiting, or maybe there is someone visiting. When I've done a few euthanasias outside, and so one time we were in the park and we were euthanizing a kitty, and there was a bunch of Canadian geese hanging out at the pond. And when the kitty, I gave the injection and the soul left the body, all the geese started just quack, 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 like they started singing, like they were welcoming this animal into the next world. And so I've heard, so same thing if we're in somebody's backyard and all the dogs in the neighborhood just start barking as soon as the spirit leaves. And so it's really fascinating.
It absolutely is. I love the connection that we have between us and the animals. We're really so similar in a lot of ways, even as far as when we have someone who has come to the end of this experience, that we give them the permission to let go and it's going to be okay. There's so many similarities. Again, no coincidence. I just think it's such a beautiful experience that you get to go through being with these animals and sharing their last few moments with them and their family. It's such a blessing and such a precious gift that you are able to give them.
And I'm grateful. I wish we could help our people too. I think there is definitely a place to facilitate passing for our loved ones, humans, loved one with euthanasia, because I really see how dying is difficult. And even if we give them permission, a lot of dying people, are hanging in there, or our animals are hanging in there for us because they love us. And it's hard to break that bond. And what we see a lot, people are watching over their loved ones, and then they take 2 minutes to go to the bathroom, and that's when they die, your loved one dies. And to me, that's understandable, because finally, it's easier to die alone if you're going to die naturally. So hiding in the closet, so I kind of give my animals some space, and my, human loved ones some space to really focus on their own journey of detaching from this physical world, because it's not easy when you have your family crying and just holding your hand and say, hey, I love you. It's not easy.
It really isn't. Thank you for sharing those stories with us. They're heartfelt and definitely a beautiful share for us, because I know all of us have lost a pet and a loved one, so we can empathize with that journey. You are listening to Soul Wanderings here on KGRAradio.com. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we will continue to wander with our beautiful guest, Dr. Joanne Lefebvre Connolly. We'll be right back.
International UFO Congress and Film Festival is right around the corner in beautiful downtown Phoenix, Arizona, September 4th through 8th. Get your tickets at ufocongress.com. Come see your favorite UFO researchers and TV show hosts from Ancient Aliens, Unidentified, Alien Highway, and Ghosts of Morgan City. You will not want to miss this one. Come see why everyone loves the UFO Congress and keeps coming back year after year. Go to ufocongress.com. That's ufocongress.com for tickets and more information. See you there.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Feeling sluggish, bloated, gassy, and, well, you know, want some relief? Try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Our unique blend of all natural herbs go to work on your digestive tract, giving you So before you try our super strength formula. It does a great job removing intruders that jack you up. Thousands of people use Life Change Tea every month, so try it because you're gonna love the way you feel. And here's a little pick-me-up. Order now and receive 10% off your first order by entering in 10 today in the coupon code. That's 10 today in the coupon code. Go to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Enter 10 today in the coupon code for your 10% discount. Wow, feeling good never felt so good. Get some tea love at getthetea.com. Changing America one tea bag at a time.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Now you have the inside contact for Alternative Talk Radio. The Planet. KGRARadio.com.
Hello and welcome back to Soul Wanderings here on KGRA Radio. KGRA Digital Broadcasting is hosted here in Salt Lake City, Utah and Hudson Valley, New York. And you can find Soul Wanderings on the station here online or many other platforms like YouTube and Facebook and Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes. I mean, there's a lot of them. So make sure you just search for us. Also, be sure to check out the official YouTube channel, no matter what, because that is where all of the latest show archives are being hosted and held for you to watch live and to review later in the archives. But wherever you guys are joining us from tonight, thank you for being here. We're happy to have you here wandering with us this evening. We're going into the second hour of our show, and there's still time for you to ask those questions. So if you guys have any, make sure you do hop on over to kgraradio.com/chat. We're visiting with Dr. Joanne Lefebvre Connolly tonight, and she's an animal communicator as well as a veterinarian. And the stories that you've been sharing are so beautiful, and I'm sure they're making so much sense to a lot of us because we have that connection with our pets or with animals if they were our totem animal or whatever that looks like for us. And so I know this is a topic and a show that everyone can relate to because I'm pretty sure we all have an experience with an animal that has touched our heart in some way, shape, or form. How is the emotional and mental healing that animals go through differ from what we go through as humans?
Well, it's the same. We're all the same. So, you know, the interesting thing about living with an animal is that we share the same space, the same energy. Animals are little sponges, so they will soak up our emotions. And vice versa. You know, when you're around other people, you sense, you sense how other people are or their energies. You know, there's an energy exchange for better or for worse. So I very early on in my career, I realized how animals would develop the same physical illnesses as their people. And it's always been fascinating to me as to why, and it makes sense because we go through the same stressful situations in life. So whatever we're feeling, our animals will feel. So I try to, be zen, just for the sake of our animals, for our own sake too, but really to help our animals not pick up any of our stress, or our anger or our sadness. And I mean, obviously, it's also part of their life purpose to be there for us and to take on some of that baggage. And that's why, the timing of dying at the end of when their life purpose is completed makes a lot of sense. So we have to stay in tune with that, the timing of how things are happening. And, animals will help heal us from diseases too. But so we can help our animals heal also by understanding why the disease came in the first place. And was it the animal himself who had an emotional shock? Like I have so many examples, but with my own animals, we had a kitty and we tried to adopt another cat. And as soon as we brought this other cat home, our older cat just stopped eating, started vomiting, diarrhea, like major emotional shock, to the point that we had to remove the new cat from the picture. It was just not going to work. And then we had to nurse our kitty back to health, and that was not easy either. I got really scared that we were going to lose her, and actually she was my husband's kitty, and my husband's the one who had to talk with her and say, hey, we're good now, so sorry that we didn't get the signs. But so each pet has different emotions, just like people. Some pets will react really strongly to, they just want to be the only pet, or they might be super social and they do want to share with, they want to have friends. So really understanding the nature of each of our animals. Some people do have many, many cats or many, many dogs. It doesn't matter how many you have. Every one of them is still very unique. And really, I would suggest that for each of your pets, you pick one word or 2 or 3 words max, that really define your pets. If you can define what does your animal live for, and in words, so you know where to focus. So to keep your animal healthy and happy and fulfilled, what is your animal living for? What makes him thrive and what feeds his soul? Is it to go outside? A lot of cats are miserable inside, and I know we worry about sending them out because they could get hurt, but indoor cats can die too from boredom, from lack of fulfillment, and again, each pet is processing the emotions just like us. Every one of them is unique. So we need to get to touch to really understand each of our animals, to give them what they need. And if you have a dog that you're walking on the leash and he wants to go say hi to everybody and he thrives as a social butterfly, well, then you should enroll him into going to the different hospitals or nursing homes. And that takes you on this amazing journey that you did not expect. So our pets help us fulfill our own life mission. They take us on a journey, on a beautiful path that we might have been afraid or we might have never figured out on our own. So I tell you, dare following your animal on his journey, and encouraging your pet to show all of his colors and bring the best out of your animal. Right now, there is a pig living in my yard, and that was not planned. Wilbur found us 2 years ago, and he's taken us, for quite the ride that we did not expect. But we're very grateful. He turned out to be a vegan activist, and I am a vegan activist, but Wilbur does the job way better than I do. So I take him to the beach. I take him around town. He's a very smart boy. He needs a lot of mental stimulation. So he walks on the leash, and he's got his little ramp. He climbs up in the back of my SUV, and we go around town. And I didn't expect, actually, of course, I should have known better, but the reaction of people when we go places and everybody stops what they're doing and they're like, oh my God, there's a pig walking on a leash. And they come see him, and he sits for treats. Like he's got people figured out. So he'll just sit and look pretty. And so I always bring food and people feed him. And then people go, oh my God, I can never eat bacon again, or I can't eat ham. That's it. I mean, look at this pig. He's just the most amazing being. And so he's stealing, he's all over my Facebook page, and he steals the show, and that's okay, because I didn't realize how he's got it all. Go Wilbur. If I tell people to stop eating meat, oh yeah, sure, whatever. But when Wilbur says it, yeah, this is not the same. Wilbur is taking it to a whole new level.
He sounds wonderful. Would it be safe to say that all animals would be considered empathic?
Yes, yes. And again, just like they feel all realms of emotions, their maternal instinct, most animals have really the strongest maternal instinct, you'll ever meet. I mean, of course, not for a turtle. They'll lay their eggs and then they move on. So each animal has a set of emotions that represents them. Dolphins are all about playing, and social butterflies, I mean, they remind you to be young at heart and to play. So each animal seems to really have more of a message or a stronger emotion, I find, but it varies also. So anything is possible, definitely. Funny things, when we talk about animals grieving, well, I want to make sure, I'm sure there's people out there that say, oh, my animal did not grieve when I lost, the other one. He actually celebrated. And that happens too. So when there is jealousy, or the bully dies, or, just an animal that doesn't want to share. Sharing is not an easy thing to learn. So some animals will just celebrate the extra attention, having the territory to themselves. And so when somebody dies, it can be, oh, we won't miss you. You were kind of a pest. You were bullying us. So I've seen some animals responding different ways. So sometimes it's a little funny. You see how the dynamic was, and now it's going to change.
I'm just thinking back to all of my experiences with all of my pets that I've had throughout my life, and how I can see the different personalities. And when one would leave us, there would still be a celebration, if you will, going on with the other animals. It's quite funny how animals are.
They'll tell you as is, they're honest. I want to be as good as the animals on my past. They just tell you how it is, and you know where you stand with them. So when I work with them in the hospital and we have to do surgeries, or, we have to draw blood and do different things that might hurt. I mean, I talk to them all the time. And I listen to them too. I make sure that we have a good dialogue so no one gets hurt, and that we can do what is fair for the animal, because you can have 100 animals with cancer or with kidney disease, the same disease. But my goal is to treat the patient, not the disease. So we have to really listen to, is the patient going to allow us to give medication? I mean, some cats you can't give pills to, and some cats or dogs even, you can really, you have to be careful. You can't even place an IV catheter, or, you have to honor their nature. And it's not, because the goal is to avoid medical torture. To me, we've gone too far. Like, the medical system is good at keeping the body alive, but to the detriment of the soul, it's not always the right thing. And we don't want to miss our exit doors, which I feel like we all have. And they're just kind of points in life where we might exit. We might take the exit and leave our body. And I see it with my animals. I see it with other animals. Some, if there is a move, like the family is moving, the family is giving birth to their first child, that's a critical time. An animal might die, might choose that exit door. When we have a little Chihuahua that we rescued, and he's 13 years old now, but 7 years ago, this puppy found us. And, we had to take him in. I mean, that's how our animals find us, and we take him in. That's just what we do. So there is no way we could give up on this puppy, but our Chihuahua really had a nervous meltdown, and he stopped eating, and we thought we were going to lose him. But we had no other option for the puppy. So we did major psychology, doggy psychology with our Chihuahua. and explained to him, it was an exit door. There was no way, it was clear. But we had a good talk with him and said, hey, you're still number one, we're giving you the time that you need, alone time, and we want you have your place here, and we want you to continue with us. And so he turned around, and having those conversations, animals can be suicidal, okay? So that I'll explain in saying that, again, they can choose that exit door. So our puppy, just a year or so ago, and I don't know, my husband and I went through a phase. We had to readjust ourselves, and I forget exactly the details, but our puppy started eating toys. Like, he swallowed a couple pieces of toy, and to me that was really alarming because that's not the type of dog that he is. And some dogs are goofy and will eat everything, but that was different. For our dog, that behavior was completely different. And I felt like he was questioning whether he should leave or not, whether because we were overwhelmed or we had to move or there was different things happening. We had to regroup. We all get out of balance. We all have challenges. And we have a big pack. We've been over 10 animals for the most part. Now we're down to 7. And we're trying to, we're getting older. We're running out of steam a little bit. We're hoping nobody else finds us for a while because we want to focus. Our crew is getting older. Our animals are all getting older. So we want to be there for them. And so that the puppy, we needed to make sure we all turned that corner together. And so we did, and he stopped. He never got sick. Luckily, he was able to pass the pieces of toys that he had ingested and did not need surgery. But so I'm really in tune when I see patients come in, hit by car or with traumatic events or why did this happen? Because we can prevent accidents and just like we can prevent diseases, we have to really make sure what did we do wrong? What frame of mind were we in? What happened that shift the energy, because it can shift back into healing mode as quickly as it went into disease mode. And I have quite a few stories that we can share also that will be in the next book about, just fascinating healing stories. One of them I can tell you is a colleague of mine, actually. So she's a veterinarian. And her dog that was 4 years ago. So her dog was 15 years ago. Her dog was 10. And she became an acute renal failure. Her numbers were through the roof. And she was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days when finally my colleague called me and said, I've done everything that the medical system has to offer. And she's dying, but she can't die. There's no way she can't die. And she kept focusing on the fact that it was just not an option that her dog would die because she could not live without her dog. And she was just stressed to the max. And I right away, what was clear to me is that, oh my God, her dog is going to die just to show her that she has no control over her pets. We don't have any control. I mean, our pets have to follow their journey. So we have to let go at some point. We can all only try our best to navigate together, but we need to keep all doors open. So we had a very good heart-to-heart, and I told her the only chance that we have here, because you've done, like she said, everything medical system had to offer, the only chance we have is that you have to give permission to your dog to let go. And you have to tell her how much you love her and that you want her to stay. But giving her permission to follow her journey will shift the energy into letting her decide if she can stay through another life chapter or if her time here is done. And if it's done, it's going to be okay. You will be able to get through this, honoring your pet's wishes. And so my colleague went through, major soul searching, and she managed to find the strength to talk to her pet and give her options, just say, okay, fine. I'll be really sad if you leave, but it's out of my hands. And, she learned to let go of control ultimately and to go with the flow. And her dog miraculously lived another 4 years.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
I'm still having chills, my God, telling the story because we were so close. I mean, I really thought we were going to lose her because my friend was so intensely resisting. And I knew, you have to let go. That's the only way that nature will follow, energies will shift and will rebalance itself. And so last year, finally, when she died she lived to be 14. It was beautiful. It was okay. It was my colleague had grown tremendously, and she had all these years of gratitude, and she allowed her pet to just tell her, okay, it's up to you, it's really up to you, and I'm just here to make this easier for you, whichever way you want to go.
A much different energy. Yes,
exactly. The jinx was removed. We go through difficulties to learn, to grow, and so it's not easy, but when you realize where the jinx is, it goes away. The energy shifts. And I'll tell you another story that is just fascinating. It's all about the frame of mind that we're in. So this one lady came to see me, and I was her third opinion. She had seen 2 veterinarians, and she was resisting what they were telling her. And her dog had severe intestinal disease to a point where this little dog was losing all her protein through her gut, and that's when you're about to die. It's critical. And I told her, like the other veterinarians, the only option that we have here is to put your dog on prednisone, and prednisone saves lives. And the owner was resisting because she hated prednisone, and she kept saying it, and she was so firm about her beliefs of, no, I hate prednisone. It's an evil drug. And so I've learned that extremes are never good in life. Nature teaches us balance. We need water. If we have too much water, we're going to drown. If we don't have enough water, we're going to die too. So everything is about staying in the middle. Prednisone is great in some situation. It saves lives. Prednisone is bad sometimes when you don't need it. Like anything, you can have side effects from medication. So just knowing when to say yes and when to say no. And so that was the lesson for her. And I told her, I said, your dog will die if she doesn't get prednisone. This is just, I have no other way to put it to you. And you can still make a difference in your pet's life. And when I was looking at this little dog and just, bonding with her, this little dog wanted to live. And I told Mom that, I'm like, okay, I have nothing to lose here. I need to lay it all out. And I told her, your dog wants to live. Please, I'm begging you to honor her life. Just give her a chance. And Mom did amazing. We put her little dog on prednisone. And usually with that severity of disease, they stay on prednisone for life, usually many, many years. It's hard that we can wean them off. But 6 months later, this little dog was off prednisone. And I'm still just so proud of Mom for swallowing her ego and say, oh, fine, okay, yes, anything is possible. Sometimes one thing is good, and what's good for you might be bad for somebody else. But in this scenario, like, never say never. Always be open to all possibilities, because famous last words, when you judge somebody or say, oh my God, I would do so different if I were this person. Well, watch out, because something is coming your way and you'll be put to the test. And that's how I see it. That's the experiences that I've seen in life. You will attract that situation that will really make you eat your words and say, really, have some compassion. Can you see that it's not so easy? And instead of judging, let's help. Let's support somebody else on their journey. When it comes to end of life or medical decision, actually, yes. So this concept applies, being careful who we reach out to for advice. And when you give advice to a friend, and I talk about this in the book that I wrote, being mindful of not giving advice as if it was you who were in your friend's situation, but really based on who your friend is and the bond that your friend has with her animal or his animal. So it's very different, because you might make different decisions based on a lot of different things, your lifestyle, your financial situation. There's so many things involved in making a decision, a medical decision or any decision. So really making sure that we personalize that decision to the pet and the pet owner and what is right for them in that situation. And that's the best outcome, because again, one answer that might be right for you would be wrong for somebody else. So when we help somebody, we need to really look at their situation.
Again, our companions are such great teachers for us in so many ways. I want to hear more about your book. We're going to take our last break for the evening, and when we return, I'd love to hear all about it. You guys stay close. We'll be right back for the very last half of our show. It goes by way too fast. We'll be right back.
Intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The thousands of wounded warriors returning from battle, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps wounded warriors translate their military experience to a civilian job. These extraordinary men and women bring more than just teamwork and inspiration to the workplace. They bring proven world-class job skills. And to ensure proper placement, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right job fit. Talented, skilled, and eager to get back to work, you have the opportunity to hire a seasoned veteran. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Get ready, Knoxville, Tennessee. The Alien Expo is coming August 17th and 18th at the Knoxville Convention Center. Prominent top-level UFO researchers and experiencers from around the world present Real X-Files, encounters with UFOs, true alien abduction accounts, contact with extraterrestrial beings. See America's most high-profile contactee, Travis Walton. Hear about bases on the moon from former NASA aerospace engineer Ken Johnson, MUFON abduction expert and niece to Betty and Barney Hill, Kathleen Martin, UFO truth embargo and disclosure advocate Stephen Bassett. Come and enjoy a full weekend of presentations, music, vendors, meet and greets, book signings and autographs, cosplay, alien costume contests, and more. Day passes, weekend passes, and VIP passes available now. The first annual Alien Expo, powered by Mysterious Radio. Make contact at alienexpo.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
to Soul Wanderings here on KGRA Radio. I am AJ Rasmussen, your host of Soul Wanderings, and our guest this evening is Dr. Joanne Lefebvre Connolly. Thank you for being here with us. It's been so neat hearing your stories with all of these amazing connections that you have had and experiences with not just your pets and your animals, but others as well, and helping them on their journey. It's quite fascinating how we are so connected and so similar, even though we're just in different bodies, but we're all so much alike.
Completely. I'm having so much fun sharing with you and your viewers and listeners.
Thank you.
Animals make this world a better place. Thank God they're here.
They do. I have a couple of more questions from the chat room, one of which is, what animal spoke to you most naturally? Which animal is one that you can connect with the easiest?
God, it seems like
there's so many.
Yeah, they're teaming up on me to make sure I grow a lot and become a better person. So I get a lot of messages from many of them, just depending what the situation is. I can tell you, so it's funny because in my house, so we have 2 cats and 2 dogs, and 1 cat and 1 dog are definitely my husband's little teachers, and then 1 cat and 1 dog are more my teachers. And so, it's always amazing how the energies, will bond, and different life missions, our personalities will connect more. And so one little dog, the Chihuahua, is definitely more attracted to my husband, and they have a lot in common. And then the Aussie, goofy, very child, very young at heart, Fuzz is his name. So he's the other dog, and he's my dog. And it's funny because he resembles a horse, and I really think he's lived his life as a horse before. And I think he was my horse in a previous life, because he'll sit in between my lap like I'm riding him. And it's funny because a few people have mentioned when they meet him, they'll say, "Oh, how's your horse doing?" Or, "Your horse is so gorgeous." "Oh, your dog, I mean." But he's got the look. It's a very interesting. He's the weird looking dog with a kind of a mane going on and a tail, like horse-like kind of tail. So they, we're pretty bonded. But I'm open to all messages. I just want to be a better person. So I have no ego. When an animal tells me to grow and here's how you should be better, I will embrace the teachings and work on myself.
Again, examples. It's really neat, though, because I look at humans as mirrors to ourselves. So what we see in another, we see in ourselves. I don't think there's any difference between that and an animal, other than, of course, the form that we take. But the things that they're showing us are always lessons. They're always our teacher, and vice versa.
Yeah, and embracing the teachings and not being afraid of, and not being have too much ego of saying, "Oh no, I'm perfect." We were all born clueless. We're all got here to this earth knowing nothing. So the more we embrace learning, and learning is fun. Learning is so much fun. I have one of my clients. He has a little dog, but he's in school. He's like 80 something years old, and he's getting his 4th bachelor degree, and he was telling me about the amazing life that he's had, and how every time he's done, learning about one passion of his, he goes on to the next passion, and then he goes back to school and keeps on learning. And I'm so amazed. Like, that's how I want to be. When I'm 80, I still want to be learning new things. And that's what makes this earth an amazing place to be. There's always something new, something more to experience. And, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's limited opportunities. Another question from our chat room is, do we have any reason to fear an animal?
Well, animals have teeth, so we need to develop a good relationship, and we need to develop understanding, respect. Obviously, if animals will stand their grounds, they will defend themselves. So they could hurt us. I'll give you the example of my pig. Wilbur is growing tusks, and that's normal, but it can be very dangerous. So my options are to sedate him and trim his tusks, which comes with a lot of uncertainties. You know, it's not easy. He's over 100 pounds. There's a lot of complications that could arise, and so I spend a lot of time with him. I know he could hurt me, but I'm listening attentively. You know, and I think if we listen and really make sure we are in the place we're supposed to be at all times. You know, I almost got bit by the rattlesnake when I was, you know, stirring a lot of bad things in my head. Animals will give us messages. When we get hurt, there is a lesson, and it's not, I would not necessarily, like, you know, I've gotten bit a couple times from animals, and it was always there was always a learning, you know, growth through that, and learning to really be in the moment, you know. So making sure your intentions are always pure into what are you trying to do here, and making sure that you're not rushing, that you're not, again, that you are doing things for the right reason. So an animal might bite, same situation as why would someone get hit by a car, you know, law of attraction. I never blame an animal who tries to bite. They communicate with us. So if our lifestyle is completely crazy and out of balance, our animals are going to go a little crazy too. So when we deal with behavioral issues, there is a reason, you know, why an animal might be aggressive, and where does this animal come from? Unfortunately, you know, I've worked in many shelters, and as a society, I do feel like we do fail a lot of animals, you know, because some animals will become abused, you know, people will beat them up, or and so they become fearful. There's a lot of traumas that they remember, so they won't trust as well anymore after that. But there is always also a lot of hopes. Animals are always wanting to give us a second chance. And so I don't fear animals. I respect them. So I try to really make sure I know where I stand with them. But the respect needs to be there. You know, we need to make sure that we're communicating. So we don't force them out of their comfort zone where they will defend themselves, or, you know, there is ways to go about this. So if we talk about medical procedures, I mean, there is ways to sedate an animal that we really need to help, because it's, you know, some animal that it's a matter of life or death, or we have to, so animals that might be aggressive, you know, I always try to do it in the most humane and loving way. There's always love. Even when I have, you know, unfortunately, some animals cannot live in society because of, you know, XYZ reason. Society has failed some animals, and we have to euthanize them because they are afraid of people and they will bite. I always do it with the most love, because I know that that's not how they were brought here. You know, I think there is good in every one of us. And same thing for people, you know, prisoners, aggressive, you know, people, you might say, you know, people who have committed crimes, my heart goes out to them, because I know that there is good in them, but I also feel that society has failed them also, and they've gone through a lot of trauma, and they're not always rehabilitatable.
That would make sense. It really would. It leads me to another question I wanted to ask you earlier. How, if someone didn't know, how could they connect with their pets, or even other people's pets, just animals in general, if they didn't know how? Because going back, you did say, you know, we have this conditioning that takes place where we unlearn the ways in which to communicate with each other intuitively, as well as our animals. So how do we bring that back, and how do we connect with them on a way that's healthy and beneficial for us both?
So I would definitely encourage everyone to read the first book that I wrote, because I go into details about how my frame of mind and opening our hearts. And I talk about, a lot more stories and experiences that I've been through and examples of tuning in. And so that will help you also reconnect with the source, reconnect with your heart, reconnect with your intuition, and getting out of your brain, making sure your brain doesn't get in the way of really feeling in your body, learning to understand what your body is telling you, because a lot of it, so how do we communicate, through our different senses? You might, a lot of times we feel some things happening in our body. You might get the worst knot in your stomach when you're talking about a possible surgery for your animal or about euthanasia. And so it's not time yet. So our bodies speak a lot to us. And then often I'll get just words coming across in my head, like ideas, made up ideas that are so beautiful that I know I did not come up with this. Somebody else did. And I'm learning from those words that are popping in my head. Or dreams. Again, I encourage you to fall asleep with a pen and paper next to your bed. So if you're waking up in the middle of a dream and you're still really foggy, you're still kind of in your dream, try to remember the dream and remember how you're feeling as you're dreaming, because there's messages that are coming across also. The movie that I talked to you about when how I healed my horse allergies, some past life movie that came in my head. So our third eye, they call it the third eye. So just the movie kind of, I can see some behaviors, or if someone sends me a picture of their animal, I'll kind of tune in via a picture of an animal and really try to sense the energy of that animal. And sometimes I'll just burst into tears, and I'm experiencing some things that this animal is going through. So there is many different ways that messages can come to you, that communication can happen, and you will develop your own ways. And so reading the book that I wrote will definitely help you on that journey, for sure.
Let's talk about your book.
And so it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, but it's also available via my website. And the website is Haley'sAngels.com. It's www.Haley'sAngels.com. And so, and I can sign you a copy and mail it to you. But of course, you can go on Amazon. You can have it as a Kindle also, Save the Trees. The book is printed on recycled paper, so that was very important to me. But I share a lot of my journey and a lot of teachings, a lot of inspiring life experiences to help you on your journey and to really live your best life so you can be healthy. And I talk about all the reasons why we get sick, so you can go through them and figure out for yourselves, where you might be out of balance. And same thing for our animals. There is so much to discover on that note alone. And make sure that you honor your own truth also at all times, that you can be. Learning to be, it sounds so simple, but for some reason it's the hardest thing in this life to just be, because people judge and people laugh. So that's why I have more animal friends than people friends, because I can just be me, and they take me for all that I am, and they want to bring more of me out also. So I love the journey of, hey, life is short, so just make yourself happy.
It makes complete sense why you would have more animal friends than human friends. I just feel like animals are way more unconditional than humans, but they also don't have that conditioning that we had, or the social aspect of it, the way that we have it. It's so different, and I feel like that's why our connection to them can be so pure.
And we can become, if we all make the decision as humans to be as good as our animals, imagine the world. My God, This can be really beautiful. We can all give each other unconditional love and support and forgiveness, and just knowing that we were born clueless, and we're on a journey of growing. And as long as everybody is trying their best to be their best, then they deserve our forgiveness and our patience. And nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Right. So I do have a lot of gratitude for the humans in my life who have seen me through the worst of my times. My husband has been there, my mom and dad. I've got some really high quality humans in my life, and they've helped me. They've motivated me to also bring out the best of me. So together,
that is really important when you have that team, when you have that networking around you that supports you and uplifts you and encourage you to be a better version of yourself on the regular. It's so important and beneficial to you to have that.
And sky is the limit. You just one day at the time, you keep trying to make all your dreams come true. And again, my dad has always said, whatever you can think about, you can make it happen. And I believe him. And still today, I've got so many more things I want to make happen in this world that I'm working on it. And I'm going to keep working on it because I see the potential and how much better the world can be. And animals have always been my inspiration. So I want to apply a lot of their teachings to making the world better for all animals, but for all people also, because they've got it figured out. So I want to be their voice.
Don't they ever? They definitely do. Tell me before we're gonna close our show here in a few minutes. Like I said, it always goes by way too fast. But I want to know how your connection to the spiritual realm and animals took place, because it's so strong. When you share with us your experiences, there's just this really super strong connection that you have spiritually as well.
I've always, I've always told myself I need proofs to believe, because I want to be super open-minded about what comes next, And I'm critical also. I do a lot of critical thinking. I think hard about things, and things need to make sense to me. So I have this curiosity about finding out answers. But so my beliefs and my spiritual beliefs have always, they've come from proofs that the animals have given me and experiences that I've been through and that others have been through. And I'm like, wow, we can't all be crazy. Things are happening here. And if we are, well, we're so happy, who cares? Let's all be crazy because it's all working out, So common sense. And again, it's really all the web of life. It's just little by little, One day at the time when I was in Arizona, I really like the skies are so big in Arizona. It was definitely the perfect place to connect. The mountains are huge, and it really helped me just find my place and walk on my path, my own path. And then listen. That's where I really learned to listen to the signs of guidance. And it's been beautiful. And it's simple. And I want you to get your own proofs also. I don't want you to take my words for it, because you need to figure it out for yourself, So, but if you start paying attention to your own life, it's all there. And then I want you to email me or connect with me and tell me what you've experienced, and we can put those amazing stories in the next book to inspire other people.
That would be awesome. How can everyone get in touch with you?
So via the website, Haley'sAngels.com, you'll get access to my email and all the social media platforms, Facebook. I'm mainly active on Facebook. But again, Haley's Angels, HAYLEYSANGELS.com. But for
those of you who missed it earlier.
Yeah, my email is Haley'sAngels@hotmail.com. So it's easy to, you can Facebook message me, and I want to hear about your stories. Definitely. I want to hear about your life experiences.
And I don't think, other than in the beginning of the show, that we shared the title of your book. I want to make sure everyone knows what it's called so that they can grab a copy for themselves.
Yep. It's called Animal Teachings from Haley's Angels Methods. And Haley has done so much for me, and I'm super grateful for her, for everything she's put me through, and all my other teachers that are continuing to challenge me and challenge you. So embrace the challenge, embrace the lessons. It's good, it's worth it. it's painful sometimes, but it's worth it. You'll become a better person.
Yes. I concur. Yes, definitely agree. It's been so wonderful having you here wandering with us. It's really refreshing to have someone like you sharing your experiences and your knowledge with us. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's been an honor, really. So thank you, AJ, and everybody.
Next week on Soul Wanderings, we are visiting with Sandra Biskind. Sandra is a global thought leader, international speaker, spiritual mentor, and a #1 best-selling author. She will be sharing with us her book, Codebreaker, Discover the Password to Unlock the Best Version of You. So if you guys are interested, I hope you join us back next week for yet another live wandering. Soul Wanderings can be found all over social media. So just look for us, Soul Wanderings, or just go to soulwanderings.com and connect to the social links there. And make sure you guys are definitely following kgraradio.com. That's where you can get to all of their social media links as well, and archives. Archives are good. You guys will want to go back and listen to not just my show, but KGRA has some amazing shows. So if you have a curious mind and want to have deep conversation or listen to deep conversation, you need to go over there. Trust me on this. It's good stuff. Thanks, everyone, for being here with us tonight. And a big shout out to my team behind the scenes. They are really amazing. So, woo-woo, thank you. And have a happy day.